Thursday, 9 in the morning, and everything you need to know at this hour right now. And so you don't miss the most important things, subscribe to the TSN channel, like, and hit the bell. Well, let's get started. An attack on the energy infrastructure. At night, the Russians struck Mykolaiv region, Kirovohrad region, and Vinnytsia region. Part of Vinnytsia was left without electricity as a result of the massive attack, and trains had to be stopped, reported Natalia Zabolotna, deputy head of the Vinnytsia Regional Military Administration.
More than 300 household consumers were disconnected from the power supply. Train traffic was suspended, but as of now, electricity has been restored, train service has also resumed, and the fires have been extinguished. All relevant emergency services are actively working to eliminate the consequences of the recent strikes and resulting damage. As of this current moment, there have been no confirmed reports of casualties, nor any specific information about the destruction of residential buildings. A total of 76 personnel and 24 units of equipment are working to eliminate the consequences.
Due to the Russian shelling, passengers from 2 night trains traveling from Odesa to Dnipro and Kharkiv had to be evacuated. According to preliminary information, there are no casualties. The Russians struck the railway at night. Sections of the railway in Mykolaiv and Kirovohrad regions were left without power. Reserve diesel locomotives were sent there. Ukrzaliznytsia reports delays for 4 trains on the Odesa route. In Kharkiv region at night, the Russians struck the territory of a municipal enterprise in the village of Mykolaiv with a drone. A man was killed and the administrative building was destroyed. 1 person was killed and 10 others were injured. Dnipro region endured more than 50 attacks yesterday. The enemy struck Dnipro with a ballistic missile. 4 people were wounded. A fire broke out. The enemy also targeted the Kamianska district with a missile and a drone. A local resident was injured. In the Mykolaiv community, an elderly man was killed in a drone attack. Infrastructure was damaged. In the Nikopol district, 5 people were injured. An industrial enterprise, 6 private houses, a store, and a car were damaged. In Kherson region, 10 civilians were injured due to Russian shelling. Enemy drones attacked the city hospital in Kherson. 3 staff members were injured. The occupiers shelled Belozerka with artillery. 3 local residents were injured. The same number of people were injured in drone attacks in Berislav. Doctors there are trying to save an elderly couple. The woman was injured by explosives dropped from a drone. And when her husband was taking her to the hospital, their car hit a mine. Air defense for Ukraine and Europe, frozen Russian assets, and sanctions against the shadow fleet. These topics became the main focus of the talks between the presidents of Ukraine and France. Volodymyr Zelensky and Emmanuel Macron met at Ukraine's permanent mission to the UN in New York. They discussed how to increase pressure on Russia. Zelensky believes that action must be taken quickly, as Russian drones are already flying over Poland, Romania, and Denmark, and fighter jets have violated Estonian airspace. The fate of frozen Russian assets remains a contentious issue. Macron is against their confiscation. The task for the Ukrainian side is to change France's position. The day before, the president of Ukraine addressed the United Nations General Assembly, which is taking place this week in New York. Ola Koshelenko continues.
The bitter truth is that weapons and influential friends, not international law, are the main guarantees of security in today's world. Speaking from the main podium of the United Nations, which is supposed to embody the very rule of law that is based on clear and established rules, the president of Ukraine shared his experience of 3.5 years of war. Only weapons determine who will survive. No international institutions can truly help.
You know very well that international law, in essence, does not fully work if you don't always have truly powerful friends who really want to support you. And even that doesn't work without weapons. It's terrible. But without it, things would be even worse. There are no security guarantees except for friends and weapons.
Even membership in military alliances is not a guarantee, Zelensky emphasized. NATO countries like Poland and Estonia, where Russian drones have flown in, have already realized this. It is precisely drones the president of Ukraine is convinced that are becoming the main modern weapon. Even countries that have long been under sanctions, such as Iran and North Korea, are capable of producing them. Technology is developing at an incredibly fast pace. Drones that are capable of shooting down other drones are already being developed. They are able to penetrate borders over long distances, and artificial intelligence makes drones a universal weapon even without direct human involvement. Zelensky also reminded everyone about the significant experience of the Ukrainian Operation Web, during which relatively inexpensive drones successfully destroyed costly Russian strategic bombers. This is the modern reality that Putin has brought. Ukraine now has significant experience in this field and is open to cooperation.
We are truly ready to make our modern advanced weapons your modern security, your powerful weapons. We have decided to open up arms exports. These are powerful systems tested in real warfare at a time when all international institutions have failed. We are ready to expand our defense production together with strong partners so that their protection is modern and reliable. You don't need to start this race from scratch. We are now ready to share what has already proven itself in real-world defense.
And while weapons are important, there is also a place for diplomacy. Today, on the sidelines of the UN, a meeting of the so-called Crimean platform is taking place, which was established back in 2021. It has brought together governments, international organizations, parliaments, and the expert community that oppose changes to state borders by force, as Russia is doing. From New York, United States, Olha Koshelenko, Maxim Shenkarenko, TSN 1.1.
Explosions, fires, and blackouts that are hard to hide. Several Russian regions have come under attack by unidentified drones at once. Despite assurances from the Russian authorities that all drones over the Kursk region were shot down, there are reports of large-scale power outages in Lviv. Reports of explosions and, as a result, problems with electricity supply are also coming from Russia's Rilsk. Due to the drone attack in the Krasnodar region, even the airport had to suspend operations. There, the naval base in Novorossiysk came under attack. The enemy tried to shoot down drones directly over the city, which resulted in damage to residential buildings. Propaganda channels report that there are dead and wounded. Russian officials, however, claim that they shot down 70 drones. And the general staff has confirmed fresh explosions in Bashkiria. Just like a few days ago, drones struck one of the most powerful oil refineries in Russia, Gazprom's Naftachim Salavat. The distance from the Ukrainian border to the refinery is almost 1,500 kilometers. A pedestrian peninsula. Since yesterday, there is no gasoline in Crimea. Fuel is gone from almost all gas stations. Local drivers and visitors to the Ukrainian Republic annexed by Russia have been lining up in long queues at gas stations, hoping gasoline will arrive. However, photos from Crimea show that only diesel fuel and gas are available there. There is already information that Crimeans are creating Telegram channels to share data on where fuel can be found. But even there, it disappears very quickly. After all, those who manage to reach the pump with 92, 95, or even the most expensive 100-octane gasoline fill not only their tanks, but also buy several extra canisters. And because of such brisk trading, the fuel runs out within just an hour or two. There is also information that due to the collapse, some empty gas stations are simply closing down to avoid paying salaries to employees. The fuel shortage in Russia is being observed in at least 12 regions, and it has been going on for more than 3 weeks. But it was the occupied Crimea that became the first place where gasoline completely disappeared. The cause of the crisis in Russia itself is said to be the attacks by Ukrainian drones, which are successfully striking the enemy's oil refineries on its own territory.
The TSN broadcast continues. We remind you that we are waiting for your comments and also for you to subscribe, like, and hit the bell so you don't miss the most important and interesting updates. Well, I'll continue.
The cost of the Kursk operation turned out to be too high, and the tactical breakthrough did not bring the expected success. Former Commander-in-Chief Valery Zaluzhny has spoken out for the first time about the Kursk operation carried out by his successor Alexander Syrsky. Practice has shown that an isolated tactical breakthrough on a narrow section of the front does not bring the necessary success to the attacking side, the general wrote in an article for Zerkalo Tizhnya. He added that although he does not know the cost of such actions, it is obvious that it was too high. Zaluzhny also recalled his own unsuccessful offensive in the summer of 23. Initially, the plan for this offensive was written by the former commander-in-chief. Strangely, it ended up in Russia, and then the operation turned into a reality show that was commented on in real time online. In his opinion, the reason for the failure was the lack of a decisive advantage over the enemy, because there were not enough forces and resources for such an offensive. I still feel the pain of these failed plans, Zaluzhny admitted. And since the fall of 2022, the fighting in Donbass has taken on a positional character, the general believes. In fact, writes Zaluzhny, both Ukrainian and Russian forces have reached a stalemate. Russians captured village of Mykolaiv in the Dnipropetrovsk region and Novoivanivka in Zaporizhzhia. This was reported by analysts from the Deep State Project, and this is despite the fact that as recently as the weekend, fierce battles were raging for both of these settlements. Despite heavy losses, the intensity of the enemy's assault operations is not decreasing. The Dnipro Operational Strategic Group of Forces has released a new video. Attempts to break through on the eastern section of the front when the Russians advanced to the front line with 15 tanks, APCs, and other armored vehicles, supported by infantry on buggies and motorcycles. About 100 occupiers were immediately and successfully eliminated along with their equipment. However, a more effective tactic used by the enemy is infiltrating numerous small groups into populated areas. It is precisely this kind of entrenchment and bringing up of reserves that allows the Russians to capture Ukrainian villages. The enemy also continues attempts to reach the administrative border between Luhansk and Donetsk regions. The Pokrovsk and Zelenskyy directions remain the most difficult. They wanted to slip unnoticed into Moldova, but failed to consider that the border is densely packed with surveillance equipment. In the Odesa region, border guards detained 7 residents from various regions of Ukraine. The men paid $8,000 each to an unknown administrator of a Telegram channel. And without receiving any guarantees, they set off for the border. There, they were first caught on camera, and then a unit was dispatched to detain them. When the draft dodgers saw the guards, they tried to run, but the service dog Giselle stopped the violators. An administrative report was filed against the men and they were sent to court. Hundreds of thousands evacuated and casualties. The super typhoon Ragasa is gaining strength. The disaster has already claimed dozens of lives in Taiwan, and the number of missing has reached hundreds. Currently, the strongest cyclone of the year has hit Hong Kong and may affect southern China. It has brought with it heavy rains and strong winds. The wind speed at the epicenter of the disaster reaches 200 kilometers per hour. In Hong Kong, more than 700 flights have been cancelled and the authorities have ordered residents to stay at home. In Guangdong province, which borders Hong Kong, the authorities have evacuated more than 770,000 people. If the destructive wind turns out to be as massive as forecasted, the number of evacuees could rise to 1 million. It has noticeably gotten colder in Ukraine. Meteorologists are even warning about nighttime ground frost. At first, they will affect the north, and then will cover almost the entire territory of our country, except for the southern regions and Zakarpattia. It will be warmer during daylight hours, from 13 degrees above zero. In some places, there will be brief showers.
The TSN team is keeping track of all the most relevant updates. Turn on notifications so you don't miss our next episodes and stay up to date with all the events. And be sure to comment on everything that interests you and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a great Thursday.